right, I'd like to invite Catherine Tulina Kafumbe, Country Director, SafeBoda, to come on the stage. James Beronda, Head Technical Services at UCC, please make your way up. Stephen Kirenga, the Head Product and Business Development at Centenary Tech. Emmanuel Mugabi, Manager Governance and Risk, NITA Uganda. As well as Flavia Nabukera Kauma, Head of Mobile Banking, Post Bank Uganda. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium. We are glad to have you. We shall be discussing building and running technology that creates value. Before I allow our panelists to go into a deep dive for us to understand exactly what they do and the organizations they are from, allow me to share that in today's highly competitive business landscape, creating value through technology has become a critical success factor for organizations of all sizes and in industries. Whether it is developing innovative software applications, designing cutting-edge hardware products, or leveraging advanced analytics tools to gain insights and make informed decisions, technology can help organizations to enhance their operational efficiency, improve customer experience, increase revenues, but most importantly, drive growth. Our panelists will help us understand how building and running technology can create value. I would like to begin with allowing each one of us to, again, if you don't mind, we need to hear that name in a more beautiful way than Chris Hikenyi can, because most of us, our names are inherent to us. On my immediate left, gentlemen, please state your name, the organization, and the thrust of your business.
Thank you, moderator. My name is James Beronda, and I'm the Head Technical Services at the Uganda Communications Universal and Access Fund. It's a universal service fund within the Uganda Communications Commission, and I'm responsible for the programming and daily operations of the fund. I deal quite a lot with underserved or unserved communities where we take ICTs in this country. I think the earlier panel probably would have been a much better panel for me because that's my area of expertise, but being a user of technology, I think I should be on this panel as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, the lady.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Catherine Tulina Kafumbe. I'm the Country Director for SafeBoda, Uganda. SafeBoda is a ride-hailing trust platform that provides transportation through the use of technology, has since been able to evolve into payments using FinTech services as well. And we're very happy for the award this afternoon. Very surprised because it speaks part of the conversation this morning in terms of how we came up with not to test offline. Thank you.
All right, I think we shall just go in that order. Please, gentlemen.
So yeah, my name is Stephen Kirenga. I work with Centenary, in the Centenary family. Centenary are the recent winners a few minutes ago of a few of the awards. Happy about that. Centenary is it's a 40-year organization, oldest institution in Uganda doing business, expanded recently into Malawi. We have an ecosystem of about 4,500 schools, 710 hospitals, 680 institutions, and ballpark estimation of our audience, and this is important because we are talking about inclusion. Ballpark estimation of our audience is about 22 million, both in Uganda and in Malawi, and the bulk of those are the people who people call rural, but we call them last mile. So at Centenary Technology Services, our job is that we are using technology to drive inclusion in a very meaningful way. I am happy to be here.
Mugabi Manuel, working with the National IT Authority Uganda. NITA-U is an IT regulator here in Uganda, and we also drive a lot for the FinTech space with the cyber laws We are the big drivers for e-government services, where we enable that to make life easy for you and I, while accessing an e-service from the comfort of your home and removing the need for traveling to government offices, filing papers, and providing too much data. So we are simplifying that perspective, and also for enabling the last mile where the financial-driven companies cannot go. We do push internet connectivity out to the last mile in the rural areas to make life easy for all of us as citizens, to give us a level playing field using IT and to be able to participate in the digital transformation opportunities that we are in as a country.
All right, thank you very much. And very lastly, the lady.
My name is Flavia Nabuka Kauma. I am the head of mobile banking at Post Bank Uganda. We're happy to have won an award for Wendy, our latest baby.
Congratulations.
And the newest kid on the block within the FinTech space.
Okay.
Our focus at Post Bank is financial inclusion. We are deeply stayed with our last pyramid customers. We are across the country with over 59 branches and boast of about 1 million customers. 360 of these are with our new baby, Wendy. So it's been born running, luckily. Yeah, then the other 700 are with the traditional bank.
All right, that's a good species of the animal kingdom to be born running. Many of us as humans grapple with the fact that we have to be kept and carried along for many, many more years before we can be able to run on our own. So without wasting time, let me put this to James and Emmanuel. What are the key factors to consider when building and running technology that creates value?
Thank you very much. When I was coming, I just probably didn't know what kind of questions to expect, because considering I really work with the unserved and unserved, but because I'm a user, so I believe I have a lot to offer. Okay. But then I think the keywords here are technology and value. And most of the times, I keep wanting to ask this question, right, especially around the mobile money technology, for instance.
That's right.
It's been with us. It was a very good innovation, especially in Africa. Europe has tried to adopt and still hasn't really moved. But it created sort of a value for us. And I keep saying, for instance, even when we've complained that the fees are increasing, it's becoming, but then there's still a value. So as long as the value still outweighs the cost, then it's still good for us. It's until the cost outweighs the value, then it won't be relevant. So the thing is, as you design, you've got to have a people-centric or user-centric mind. Is it really, what do the users actually want? So as you design, you must have that in mind. Then the other point is, does it make a business case? So if it doesn't make a business case, then it's not worth probably investing in, and probably SafeBoda here will tell us, if it doesn't make a business case, then is it worth really investing in? So you must have that sort of business case. But then the other is, do you have the right skill set? And most of the times, for instance, we deploy solutions, especially say open source, now like Udo, forgive me for being very specific here, or Red Hat Linux and all that. If you're going to deploy these sort of solutions, and they really have value to it, but for you to be able to deploy them, do you have the right skill set to actually deploy some of these solutions? The other I could think about is, how are your users sort of benefiting out of this? Are you able to have a change sort of management structure in place? Because when you create solutions and you do not provide sort of a management change structure, then it becomes difficult in terms of adoption and uptake. Those are some of the things I could probably think about for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel, it's pretty much the same question. Building and running a technology that creates value. At NITA Uganda, you are basically a convergence of data, and when it comes to perhaps digital identity verification, your services pretty much come in. What is your value proposition?
Thank you. Thank you. Looking from the builder's perspective, as James has looked at the user experience,
Yeah.
From our perspective, it's about scalability. When building technology, you have to factor in that users grow, because where there is value, users will come. Like most of the people that have won awards, the gentleman on my right and the lady here,
Yeah.
they all talked about scaling, and I think all the people that won awards have quite big users. So even us, as we have this in mind, it's about being able to build a platform that can easily scale as users grow, as the demand grows, and then you also need to tap into that so that you're ready to serve that trend. The other perspective when building is around, for people in the room, compliance and regulation. The keynote speaker, Alan from Bank of Uganda, did mention that perspective, and it has come out quite a lot. So it's important to build and not get into trouble with regulation, because that can affect you. And then one that affects you and I, it's about trust. Is my data safe? Is my money safe? If I have a certain amount of money in my account and I wake up, is that money still there on the account? Who is accountable? So that's the other dynamic to add to it. Cyber privacy and trust that need to be factored in while building technology solutions.
All right, thank you very much. Let's now have Stephen and Flavia's view on how organizations ensure that technology solutions align with overall business objectives and goals. Stephen?
I think aligning technology with the business, the first part is that you, the person that is trying to drive the agenda of technology, how credible are you from an experience or skills perspective? The year is coming to an end, and if I'm to ask around the room, what have you done this year to improve your skill set, apart from coming to high people? If it's a tough question for you, then maybe that should be something that you can work on. Because essentially what you're doing is that unless you are these days they call them planned kids. Unless you're a planned kid, you're likely asking for money from somebody, right? For either a board or an institution. Now, why should someone trust you if you cannot give them the confidence that you know what to do? So it's important that, one, you're credible as the person driving the agenda. On the second hand, you need to be able to associate the business growth in a tangible way to technology investment. Post-COVID, even as the director said, Mr. Kawere said, we've seen that post-COVID, IT has become the thing, technology. In Uganda, what James didn't tell you is that UCC mentioned that we've had a 51% growth in internet traffic across the country. 51% year on year. That's, that's huge. What we failed to do in 10 years, we've done in 1 year before COVID. So it shows that there is an appreciation, an adoption. So now you need to relate what you want to do in the business to how it's going to grow. And the good thing about tech is that tech is measurable. If it's a fintech and you're looking at websites or your customer touch point, you can measure number of visits, you can measure referrals, you can, pay-per-click, etc. There are tools that can help you measure the impact of your intervention, which then can consequently relate towards how you associate technology to business strategy. So I think those two are the ones. I have more, but I will let my sister here answer them.
How are you finding it, Flavia, hitting the ground running? I hope that has also been effectively taken care of. Has it?
Yes, it has. Yes,
all right.
Has. So because technology alignment is not really a one-size-fits-all, it's important that it's taken into proper planning, very clear planning and implementation and execution, and it should be tailored to the organization. Our organizations are very different and diverse, so the alignment that will apply to, let's say, an FMCG will be different from a financial institution. So that is very, very important to do. In terms of how you can go about it, I believe in first and foremost having a very clear objective and strategic, a very, very clear strategic objective for your organization. If it's very clear as to why you need the technology, it becomes a lot easier for you to align on that strategy. You need to be able to have a very strategic roadmap for that technology. What do you want to do with it? How do you want to roll it out? What do you even need it for starters? If you're looking at, let's say, a mobile wallet, for example, what's your target market? What do you want to achieve with it? What solution are you providing the market? What do people need, and how are you solving that need? And that now can answer into how it can then align with your organization objectives and overall your strategic goal as a company. To say the least, strategic alignment is really at all levels of the organization. So if you're going to achieve technology alignment, it's very important that you begin with very strong people management. People can be your best drivers of change or your worst enemies at it. So it's very, very important that you have very strong people management within the organization, and that's at all levels, from the top to the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And later, this very question will also apply for Emmanuel. What are some of the most innovative and effective technologies being used today to create value with respect to your organization? And how can organizations leverage these technologies to enhance their competitive advantage?
I like to think about technology as starting from a place of identifying a problem or that needs to be solved and a need in the community, and then bring it back home. Today, everybody is able to move from one place to another and must move. And because they need to move, we do have a category of people who love convenience. We do have a category of riders who are looking for businesses. So with that in mind, SafeBoda comes up with a solution that is a ride-hail platform to connect the rider to the customer. And then using technology, there's an ability to map out and identify a willing customer to a willing driver. And through different small algorithms, then here and there, you're able to identify the best price, so the customer does not have to negotiate or have different conversation with the rider upon arrival, and then they can use Google Maps to identify the distance and then map out, without so many phone calls, how do I access this person? Okay. So we see that technology is able to provide different solutions. Now, when we do that, we know that it comes with a lot of data at play. Yeah. So when we implement that, then come the data insights. So with the lots of data that we generate every day, we are able to then evolve and optimize. So then we can tell that what is of interest to the customer, what is of interest to the driver, what are the high demand areas, for example, where do we need to channel our drivers to so they can get more business, and what are the areas that maybe are underserved, how do we connect the riders. And then when you think about that, then you think about the driver as well. What do we need to do so that the driver can get optimized, which generates the birth of maybe a payment solution like the one we have on the SafeBoda app. So we are able to use a lot of different initiatives to grow the technology. And then when you think about now, what's happening, there's AI at play, and there's lots of things that can be employed to improve the overall experience of customers, of drivers. So imagine, look at AI as a friend that is able to reduce your effort that needs to be done on the things you need to be done. How do you reduce the boring stuff and give them to AI? So in terms of thinking of effective technologies, I think we need to think about the need and try to customize, but then move with the trends, because every day there's something new happening and you can evolve and grow that.
Okay, thank you very much. Emmanuel, very quickly, because I do not expect it to be very different from what he has just given us.
Just to add on from the side of technologies that can be exploited for competitive advantage, yeah. Cloud is number one, because it allows a small player to compete with the big players in the room, given that infrastructure is out of the discussion. The things she's talking about, AI, all these things need a lot of power and compute, which now a FinTech can easily tap into. The second one is around APIs and integration. If you look at the work that Modular Foundation is doing, everyone, I see a lot of people in the room who are all enabling one another to play in this digital economy. And then to answer the part of effectiveness, USSD is still king here in Uganda. For most of you here, if you were to send someone money, I think you're going to go *16 or whatever. If you're going to pay for a service, *1, yet that service is available on the app. Actually, if you speak to most of the telcos here, they have that function on the app, but people still resort to USSD quite a lot. And you can see that common strain. If you look at the people who have won today's awards, you'll see that there's a bit of a USSD perspective to it. So for effectiveness, USSD is still king. That can easily be exploited because people have that trust and they're still stuck in that ease of use for transacting.
All right. This one goes to Stephen. Earlier, you spoke about the fact that being able to monitor the various touch points is pretty much a good matrix, and it could allow, for example, the provider of a service to know exactly what moves or what are the emotions of their consumers. But on the side of the consumers, there could be the challenge of making an informed decision about a product reliability and the speed at which they can access it. What's your view on that? The metrics and how the tracking can be done.
Yeah, all right, thanks. So I think this challenge is shared. It's not only specific to the fintech or digital space. Just 2 weeks ago, I was at the East African PR Week, and I was sharing with them that before, as an example of a use case that you can relate with, before for PR, you would depend largely on intuition and say, now I think these people here, they might like this. Or I think now things have changed. Yeah. Now we've actually got tools that can measure sentiment. We have got tools that can measure impact. We have got tools that can measure, they can give you feedback 365. I know that for governments, for more advanced or for more that are a bit ahead of Uganda, in some governments like in Bhutan, happiness is now a measure of economic development. That's how people like Emma or James are measured on performance. If me as a citizen I'm not happy, then they won't get their salary. That's how deep they have gone to say that. How can you measure the happiness outside of all these e-services and connectivity and what have you? So I think the value of that is that now you can plan better, you can use data to make decisions, you can move beyond sentiment and intuition, and you can have more impact. Because once you have more impact, you're able to determine and say, now let me put in such effort. So I think it's a great time for us to be old enough to make decisions in our lives, but also in businesses, because we have the tools to enable us.
Okay, James Beronda, scalability, reliability, and security are pretty much important. What best practices should we follow to mitigate risks and ensure business continuity?
We need to understand about, especially when we're talking about business continuity and scalability. Those are two probably different things. Business continuity is more being proactive and saying what are those measures probably we need to do if an event occurs that we are able to move on. But then there is also the reactive side that when the event really happens, then what are we able to do? For example, I'll give sort of a rectangle and using sort of a layered approach.
Okay.
We could have a physical layer that's in terms of storage, networks, and things like that. But then also we have sort of a management layer, understanding the risk or having a risk management in plan or a business continuity plan in place, but also having a validation and sort of testing environment that are you able to do vulnerability, say, on your networks and etc. Then there is the upper one, which is the policy layer. What are you going to do, or how have you evaluated your organization, and what are the things or steps you're going to go through in case or you had this sort of a scenario happen? So you need to design system, one, with those sort of things in mind, but also growth in mind. Just don't build things without having scalability in place. One, they should be very modular, and probably you also need to leverage on cloud services or having looked at your applications and seeing which are more risky or less riskier, you could move some of them to the cloud and etc. But then also, how often, for example, do you do vulnerability tests on your systems? For example, SafeBoda, and right now, if we hacked into you, how quickly can you get your business up and running in the shortest time possible? So you should be able to sort of do these penetrative tests onto your systems and things like that. But also understanding that you need to train your staff to understand the risks involved and how they would handle them in an event they actually occurred.
Okay. In fact, the question that will be posted to Catherine rotates around advancements and trends and the ability to continuously improve technology to create more value. When you speak about being hacked, it means there must be a tenant to any possibility or any eventuality that comes through, but you'll be answering that question shortly. Let me first go to Flavia on the extreme end. Can organizations effectively manage and optimize technology solutions to deliver value continuously? What processes, tools should be used to monitor performance, for example, identify areas of improvement, and implement the required changes?
So, because right now we're in the era of creation of value and very profitable growth, a decade ago it was more about the numbers. If you can acquire many customers, that's good enough, but that has changed now, and there's a lot more about creation of value and profitability around it. So in terms of technology and deployment of solutions, it's important to measure and track this. Some of the things that I will look at in terms of how you can be able to measure this is, one, you should have very clearly defined value propositions. If you know what you're going to measure, then you can be able to measure it. Right. So if your technology is solving a strategic problem, for example, then the measure is going to be around the strategic objectives. If it's more of an operational or a revenue-generating solution, then even the metrics and the tools that you use will be consistent with the objective. It's also important to define the metrics quite well. If we're going to measure, let's say, a revenue generation or revenue generating technology solution, you're going to look at things like usage, customer onboarding or registrations, unique users, for example. You're going to look at things like revenue generating customers. You're going to look at retention and customer experience. Those measures can be tracked in a very quantitative manner. And this is because right now we have a lot of reports. There's a lot of investment that banks and FIs are putting into data analytics and system analysis and data analytics systems and BIs. So it's important to be able to have these tools available to you in terms of reports, dashboards. Right now, for our new baby Wendy, for example, we do have these screens with the dashboards that run, and we know per hour how many customers we have onboarded, how many of these are transacting, what transactions are they doing. So it also enables you to see what transactions are failing, which ones are succeeding, and able to actually be aware and resolve in real time these challenges.
I very much pick that technological value stays very much in simplicity sometimes, and the ability for your consumers, customers, to be able to readily access these products. James posed the question to Catherine, if you don't mind. Can you answer it exactly how he asked it? The other thing is that you can also, I don't know whether you're going to reveal something that could be happening in the next few years, not even few years, a month, AI, where the complete ability of all information from the customer side is available, and then acting on it. Will it be humans? Are they going to be robots? Or will I be picked up any one time by a robot on a SafeBoda?
We still intend to be human and to stay human, so it will not be a robot. And to speak to James's question on the risks that are involved. Yeah. Recently, our CTO put the senior leadership team in a room, and we had to do a dry run of what would happen if we were hacked. What are the possible scenarios? How would that happen? How would we react? the thought process behind it was he thinks that at that point, when you're hacked, you can't think. We need to think through all the possible scenarios. At the back end, we need to work through on how to prevent it.
That's right.
We need to understand the possible angles that could attack us, but in the event it happens, what will we do? And you know, hackers will come and even ask for money. He posed the question, will you pay? Will you not pay? So we do have those scenarios at play, and we intend to keep them at play to ensure that we protect and we plan against it and against all the risks. In terms of AI, the thinking processes are diverse. There's so much that can happen. Yeah. Right now, we're working on some interesting solutions like gamifications, thinking about the customer. How do they move? What are the things that we can think about that they're interested in? For example, you have because you take trips every day and move from A to B, it's we now know, on average, if you're an app user, how much you spend on your transportation. How about we could use this to let you know that, on average, you're spending this, put that aside so that your transport is not interrupted for a month. And then, so that way, you're sort of working out your budget for different things. That's and right. Then different gamifications of, you can do this 5 times a day, and then you can be able to get this. So there's a lot at play that we can do and get technology moving.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, since this particular discussion is not interrogative in broadcasting language, I'll give each of you 60 seconds, and the clock countdown begins right now. Let me begin with Flavia. Your last word and wrap up from your vantage point with regard to value creation and the imperative of technology in this space.
Thank you, and I will stick to the confine of my industry, banking.
That's right.
So technology is a very key driver for banking right now, and soon banking is going to be a thing that everyone does, not a place that people go to. So key for me to that is to be able to have solutions that are very flexible, scalable, and extremely secure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you so much. Mine is just to encourage builders not to keep ignoring security, privacy, until when something happens. I'm glad to hear SafeBoda's story of being proactive. You should be part and parcel of design of delivery of every solution, because one incident is good enough to take you back so many steps behind. Thank you so much.
Stephen?
Thank you. Mine is takes it back to my first submission earlier on. If you had to learn something today from my submission, it is that please look for a document called the Digital Transformation Roadmap. That document is going to be the basis for all national initiatives related to digital and to technology. If you have not been able to do some kind of course this year, that's the one. Better yourself, become more credible, and that is how you can be sustainable, especially in the world of digital. And thank you all for voting for Centenary family.
And congratulations again. With regard to that particular point, earlier, Mr. Andrew Kawere, the Deputy Director of the National Payment Systems Bank of Uganda, delivered a very insightful speech, and I had asked the team behind to ensure that those who registered their emails can be able to receive a soft copy of that. The digital transformation roadmap was pretty much something that he hammered down. I'll ensure that Catherine is last because she had just answered a question from you, James Beronga.
Mine is about technology and value. Most of the times we invest quite heavily into technology, but the question is, are we really analyzing how much value for cost of a penny? And most of the times our IT departments are very quick to ask us for budgets, but we never go a great length to ask them what is the value you're actually bringing on board. So I think that's something, especially senior management and the board at that level, those are the kind of questions they need to be sort of asking. What value are we bringing vis-a-vis the what we're spending?
All right, Catherine?
Thank you. I think to the leaders in the room, I would encourage that we have innovation as a very key factor in our boardrooms and in our meeting rooms. and create an environment that allows for safe experimentation, where we allow employees to take calculated risks, because through failure is the opportunity for learning. And if you think about SafeBoda's journey into Safe Car, it all came from a community room where one of the staff came up with the idea, and then it was a challenge for us to advance that technology. So let's allow for experimentation and community conversations.
All right, Catherine Tulina Kafumbe, Country Director, SafeBoda, many thanks for that. James Beronda, Head Technical Services at UCC, many thanks. Stephen Kirenga, Head Product and Business Development, Centenary Tech. Emmanuel Mugabi, Manager, Governance and Risk at NITA-Uganda, as well as Flavia Nabukera Kauma, Head of Mobile Banking at Post Bank Uganda. We are emboldened by the insights that you have shared, and I hope you can be able to make informed decisions, especially those within the audience, for your organizations to ensure that you enhance operational efficiency, improve customer experience, increase revenues, but most importantly, drive growth.